What does eating a well-balanced diet actually mean? What kind of foods am I supposed to eat? How much of those foods should I be eating? Well, that's a good question. And actually, I should already know the answer to this, but I don't feel like I do. So today we're going to review all of this information, break it down into small bite-sized pieces so we can all be successful in maintaining a well-balanced diet. So let's do this together. Hello, everybody. This is Elva.
Hi everyone, this is Nora.
Today, we're going to follow up a little bit on what we taped last week. Last week, we went over healthy aging essentials, and we did a whole video on just some key points on what we can do to age well as we get older, and just things that were really are important in everyday life. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a deeper dive on what it means to really eat a well-balanced diet. And I'll be honest, this is a subject that I've probably learned way back in school a little bit. I don't think I had much of classes on this, but and then I've known some of this from time to time, but I really haven't really dug real deep on the subject. And I think it's a lot more complicated than we think at times. And it's also not as complicated as we think at times. So let's get
Well,
started.
and Elva, it's funny because I think sometimes we can make it more complicated than what it is,
Mhm.
but it is kind of hard because if you're not used to doing this, then it
Right.
can be difficult.
Well,
So
I think it's a
we
skill.
understand that for sure.
Yeah, it's a skill that you learn like anything else. What we do is we research a lot of different information, and then we have our video and we present a lot of information. So you don't have to go out and research this all on your own. We're only going to present a very short piece of it so that we don't keep you forever. But let's
Yes.
get started. So basically, the parts of eating a well-balanced diet, which we talked about last week, include fruits, vegetables, whole grains, proteins, healthy fats. And so we're going to talk a little bit, start with fruits, of course. And I kind of was searching, saying, okay, why are these so important? I know I've heard this, but why? Tell me why, in order for me to really understand this. So, of course, fruits are important for vitamins, minerals, fiber, and antioxidants. Okay, I can see that the fruit is probably a better choice than eating a Hostess cupcake because it doesn't have vitamins and minerals and all that in it, and that's important to our bodies. Um, the recommended amount that the USDA says is 1.5 to 2 cups a day of fruits. And so I said, well, okay, what does that actually mean? Like, what does a serving size mean? Because I don't think that that really always comprehends or is easy to understand when they talk about it in servings or cups. But 1 cup, they said, is equivalent to like a medium-sized apple, a banana, an orange, or a pear. So knowing that you have to have 1.5 to 2 cups, you have to have a couple fruits basically a day to help you. They also talked about sliced fruit, and that's just a cup. But if you have dried fruit, it's a half cup of dried fruit.
Yeah,
It's that.
because of all the sugars in it as well. But again, going back to we can start slowly. So maybe you don't want to eat two fruits a day. Eat the one. That's fine. You might build up to it. You might not. But as long
Yeah,
as you just kind of balance that out, that's
I agree. I
that's one of
agree.
the main things to do.
I agree. I think the most important thing is buy fruit. Because it's very easy to eat fruit if you have it in your home versus if I
Hmm.
don't even buy fruit each week, how am I going to have a fruit? So I
Hmm.
don't skip that part of the store. I do buy apples and bananas on a regular basis. And I only eat the banana if the tip is still green. From what I've learned a few weeks ago about bananas, you want to try to eat that banana when it's still very green on its tip. That's when it has the most nutrients. But I do like a bit apple each day, and sometimes I'll put like a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on it, which is a
That's
healthy
what I
fat,
do.
and that's
Yes.
delicious.
It's also very filling. Sometimes I can just have that for dinner, but
Right.
that's awesome. I love that.
Well, let's talk about the next one, which is vegetables. Of course, vegetables are rich in nutrients, very important to maintaining a healthy, balanced, healthy lifestyle. It also is really good for heart and digestive health. And
Yes.
they said 2.5 to 3 servings per day that's 2.5 to 3 cups of vegetables per day. That's been a little bit more challenging because I didn't really grow up eating a lot of vegetables. So I've been working on that. Or I think my mom would buy canned vegetables, which are certainly not as healthy as eating frozen
No.
vegetables. So one
But
cup
yeah,
of cooked or raw vegetables is a serving.
right.
1 tomato, bell pepper, carrot is also 1 serving.
Mhm.
If you're going to have leafy greens, like spinach or the spring mix or lettuce, something like that, you actually have to have 2 cups to equal 1 serving. Some of the suggested vegetables that are best for you are leafy greens. And I read a study recently that said not to just get spinach, to make sure you're getting like a spring mix or a mix of things, because the spinach by itself wasn't, there's something in it that I don't know is too strong. And so they said that
Oh,
you
okay.
could have a mixture.
I do buy vegetables. I do buy the frozen vegetables. You may not want 5 bags of broccoli, next week, but they're in your freezer and you can have them for later and you can buy something else. So
Yeah,
to me, that has helped a lot, keeping the
that's good.
frozen vegetables in my freezer instead of having I do still buy the fresh, like avocados, but anyway, that's what I do. That's just a tip that I do. Hopefully it helps some of you guys too.
And the vegetables that they recommend the most were leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, beans, and peas, and potatoes. And they really talk a lot about sweet potatoes versus regular potatoes. So the next category is whole grains. And under whole grains, they really talked about that they're rich in fiber, vitamins, minerals, and again, antioxidants. They reduce the risk of heart disease and improve digestive health. And they say we should have about 3 to 5 servings a day. Now, this is kind of an area that I haven't been working on. I mentioned that to you guys last week that I need to improve on, or at least start to add it in slowly. Like you said, Nora, maybe it's not the full, amount, but I'm gonna need to add something in. 1 cup of whole grain cereal qualifies as a serving, or a half a cup of cooked whole grain, brown rice, quinoa, or oats all qualify for a serving. I think also 1 slice of whole grain bread, which is pretty good as well. So that,
Yes. That would be the only category or the only thing in that category that I do is the whole grain bread. I do have that in the morning with a little bit of honey, but I don't do the others.
yeah, and you just need to start adding something in slowly that you like. I
Yeah.
actually substituted white rice over the weekend for brown rice. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
delicious. It was very
Yes,
good.
it's the
So
same. Yeah. It
yeah,
takes a little bit longer to cook. You have to be a little more patient with it, but it's delicious. It's the same.
it was definitely.
Yeah.
So I think it's an area that would be easy to sub in, and then you get your whole grains. The next category is protein. And again, why protein? Why is that so important? But it does build and repair our tissues in our body. So that's important.
Mhm.
This is a little bit more complicated. I will tell you that. This is kind of the research that took me a while to kind of go through and understand, trying to understand how much protein we need. And it really goes based on how much you weigh or how much you want to weigh. So I did some research and I kind of used the number that, since I've been, working on losing some weight, I took the number that where I want to be in weight.
Okay.
So I used 125 pounds as my example. And then basically, I'm going to put a chart here that will tell you exactly what we're doing. But you basically take your weight and divide that by 2.2, which means basically you're converting this to kilograms. So 2.2 is the conversion rate to convert it into a kilogram. So I took 125 pounds, divided it by 2.2, and it came out to be 56.82 kilograms. And then to determine how much protein you actually need to take, they do base it on a lot of factors like age, sex, activity level, overall health. For healthy adults, the guidelines say that you can use 0.8 grams per kilogram to understand how much you need. So this is where all the math comes in. I'll put another chart up here that shows
Oh,
this.
geez. Yeah.
But you multiply your weight in kilograms that number we just found, which for me, it was the 56.82, and you multiply that by 0.8. When I did that, I got 45.45 grams. So I now know that I need about 45 grams of protein each day in order to reach staying in balance with my 125-pound goal weight. You can think of meat in certain different ways. Like I've always heard, when you look at your meat, you can think about like a deck of cards. That's equivalent to 4 ounces of meat. Or you can think of your palm of your hand. And that size, again, is about 4 ounces of meat. So then I Googled, what is 4 ounces of organic chicken thigh in grams? And it's 27 grams. 4 ounces of chicken breast was 26 grams. Again, I only buy organic. So everything I'm going to tell you is organic. 4 ounces of ground beef is 20 to 25 grams, depending on if you buy 80%, 85%, 90%, 93%. It will vary a little bit. 4 ounces of steak is about 28 grams. And then 4 ounces of wild caught salmon, about 25 grams. So that's how you actually have to convert it to
Right.
to understand. But you can
You
Google,
know, that,
everything is
yeah.
Googleable.
It's so true. I had to do that because I was looking at, just for example, spaghetti sauces. You know, if you're going to buy, spaghetti sauce at the store, at your grocery store, everything that you look at in the back is all, in milligrams. It's all in grams. And then you have to, so yeah, I did look for, search for a calculator online, and Google does have something that'll convert it so that you know what exactly how much that is, because it
Very
says,
easy.
sodium X amount of milligrams, and you're wondering, well, is that a lot? Is that a little? How does that convert?
The next category is healthy fats, and that's really about brain health. It was about hormone production and also absorbing fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K. And that's why we need the healthy fats. Now, according to the research, it said that we need about 20 to 30% of healthy fats. Now, that's in moderation. So they said, if you're looking to lose weight, you may want to do a little bit more, but you can still be on a healthy diet with that kind of range. So I would probably go on the smaller range myself because I'm trying to cut calories and not, not maintain the weight I'm at now. I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight. So that's important to take into consideration there.
Well, definitely a good healthy fat is for everybody to know is avocados.
Avocados,
So
yes.
definitely, and that's like my number one healthy fat. I can eat those every single day. Delicious.
And olive oil, avocados,
Yes.
nuts, and salmon
Yeah.
were the top things that were listed on there.
Right.
They said to limit saturated fats, avoid trans fats, and yeah, again, just to be careful with what you're eating.
Right.
Now, they did talk about hydration as far as a healthy diet. And now, some of the foods that we eat, some of the vegetables and fruits that we eat obviously have some water in them. But we need to consume, obviously, some water, which also helps us, helps us to go have different essentials go through our blood system, etc. I think it said, what was it for digestion and in body temperature as well to regulate
Right.
and
right.
then nutrient transport.
Yeah.
Now they said 64 ounces of water, but it also gave a big asterisk and said that doesn't apply to everybody. There are some certain people
No.
who have different illnesses and possibly retain too much water. So
Mhm.
always check with your doctor on what's appropriate for you. So
Right.
all of this information you should talk to your doctor about.
Going back to water is drink a glass of water, at least 8 ounces. If you can't do 8, do 4 ounces in the morning when you wake up. It can be room temperature, it can be warm, or a hot cup of tea in the morning. So important and so good for you. It really helps your digestion. I know it helps me.
The next part was really just maintaining a well-balanced diet was to limit the amount of sugar that you eat and salt.
Right.
And so some of the things they talked about, of course, was to eliminate sodas and other sugary drinks, candies, baked goods, and processed foods. Now, I will tell you, I used to be a pastry chef, so those are hard words to hear. But I will tell you that when our bakery was open a few years in, I had a lady who came in and she told me she had done extensive research on sugar and that sugar was often considered more addictive than cocaine. And believe me, when she told me that, it stunned me, it shocked me. And I no longer really wanted to be in that business. I felt like I don't want to be contributing to,
Right.
the bad effects of too much sugar. And definitely
Well,
we know what that is.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you say that because research does show that the two biggest addictions that we have, here in the United States, both start with an S, and it is sodium and it is sugar. Those are the two biggest addictions we have. And if you think about it, so true. I mean, who doesn't go for a bag of chips or who doesn't go for, a cupcake? I mean, we all do. We know we shouldn't, but it does happen from time to time. I have to admit, it's for me as well.
Well, and I think that that's an opportunity to say, okay, if it's somebody's birthday, I'm going to have a piece of cake. I'm going to have a cake. Well, then I'm going to be more careful the next few days. And I'm not going to have purchase chips at the store because I'm going to eat them if they're in my household. And I think you try to limit what you have in your house so that you're not it's so easy and tempting to reach
Yeah.
for if it's in there.
No, I agree 100%. And I do not go down the cookie aisle or the chip aisle because I know that something will end up in my cart. So I prefer not to do it. It's easier for me if it's not in my house.
This is not about depriving yourself or missing out. They all
No.
talk about that.
Yeah.
They
So
did talk
true.
a lot about portion control too. And I think I remember learning about this so many years ago. They talked about using smaller plates. They were talking about in the earlier 18 and 1900s that the plates were much smaller. Now plates have
Everything was. Yeah, the glasses, everything was smaller. Yeah.
yeah. So because plates have gotten larger, sometimes we feel like we have more room to add more food, but that's not
Yeah.
necessarily healthy for us. So portion sizes help you to avoid overeating, which of course leads to gaining weight and health issues too. So but yeah, balance and moderation was really the key to healthy diets. And when we say diet, it's more like what you eat on a regular basis. I'm not saying it's a
Right.
diet like, oh, I'm going to do this for a few weeks and then I'm going to stop doing it. This is just what you
Right.
eat on a regular basis. The other thing that gave an example of what a plate should look like, and this plate, actually half of the plate, they had non-starchy fruits and vegetables. So she had a lot of um, mixed greens on that side of the plate. Then the other fourth of the plate was for starchy carb vegetables like potatoes, whole wheat, pasta, brown rice. And then the last fourth of the plate was really for protein. And then a splash of dressing over those items or sliced avocados was
But you know, the interesting part is that I don't know about you, but I've always heard like, don't eat potatoes. They're like the worst, they're full of starch and don't eat potatoes. But I know research does show it's okay to eat them in moderation, and of course not French fried potatoes, but
no, never.
it's interesting how now things have changed where before it was don't eat potatoes at all, now it's like okay to eat potatoes.
Well, I think everybody has to make the decision. I actually like sweet potatoes over regular potatoes. When I eat regular potatoes, my stomach hurts. So I don't
Oh,
know if
really?
it's, yeah. And I've tried boiling them, I've baked them, I've
Mm-hmm.
fried them, I've done a little bit of everything, and still I don't get along well with them. So it's not something
Oh,
to have in my diet on a
well,
regular.
that makes it easy for you. No potatoes.
But it says what happens when you start eating healthy. So this is a research I did. A lot of different reactions came up. But basically it said your body will actually start craving healthy food, craving healthy food, sorry. And you feel better. And that's true. I will tell you that when I stopped eating like cookies on a regular basis, I no longer really think about sugar, or like after dinner, I don't think, oh, let me go get something sweet to eat. I don't have that feeling anymore. And
Yes.
it's really because my body has changed and I'm feeding it what it wants versus what I want. So I'm doing an
True.
effort there. It also improves our gut health. It helps us to lose weight. It helps us to reduce the risk of getting diabetes and cardiovascular disease and some cancers. And I'll tell you, that's my number one reason why I do this YouTube channel personally, and why I've chosen for us to kind of go down this path and talk more about how to be healthy as we age, period. And I
Yes.
hope that this helps you as well. But I'll tell you, my dad died at 61 years old. I am 61 years old. So for many years, I've always thought I'm going to die at 61 years old. And that was that haunted me for years, thinking that. Now, I didn't know that 61 was going to happen so quickly. And here I am. But the
Here it
interesting
is.
thing is, I went to see my doctor a few months ago for my well checkup, and she said, surprisingly, genetics do not play as big as a role as you think. She said your environment does, which means what you do, how you live. Do you eat, excessively? Do you drink, smoke? All of those things will determine what will happen really to you. It may not happen to you today or tomorrow. Like maybe we were doing all that in our 20s and 30s and 40s. And then it shows up in our 60s and 70s as disease and all that. But
That
right,
makes a lot of sense. That
yeah,
really
going
makes a lot of
forward,
sense.
we can say,
Mhm.
hey, this is our stake in the ground. We're going to start
Mhm.
making an effort to do better because we don't want to go down that road. And so I think that that's my commitment. I know that I want to see my grandchildren graduate from college. I want to see my grandchildren get married. And
Yeah.
that's my grandson's 10. So if he gets married at 30, That's 20 years. I need to be alive in my 80s. My parents, neither one of my parents made it to their 80s. So
I just
profound
want a
for me.
grandchild. How's that? I just want a
Yeah.
grandchild. I don't have one, but I want one.
Definitely. You'll get one. Well, hints to move to a healthier lifestyle is definitely, first of all, making a commitment to yourself that you deserve this,
Yeah.
knowing it's going to be some work. And don't say, oh, well, I'll try it tomorrow, next week, next year. No, now is the time. Do it with us. And we want to report our progress to you, and we want to hear about what your progress is as well. So get rid of the unhealthy food that might be in your pantry or your refrigerator. And again, like we talked about earlier, try not to buy that. And then cook as often as you can. Try to reduce the number of times you go out to restaurants. When I was in pastry school, I did 6 weeks of culinary. We were required to do that. And my chef told me, I remember asking him once, chef, like, how many calories does this have? And he was like, we don't care. He said, our job is just to make it delicious. We don't care how many calories it has. We don't care. We don't care how much butter we put in it. That's not our concern. Our concern is to make it so good and give them so much they want to come back again and again and again. And I thought, oh, okay, well, I didn't know that, but that's horrible but that's true. That's just the industry that we are part of. So, no, cook as often as you can. You control your own ingredients and try to reduce the amount of deep fried food as you have.
Yes.
Believe me, I'm a lover of Chick-fil-A and French fries. And unfortunately, I had to cut that out on a regular basis. Like I was probably having it once a week, and now I can't do that.
That's good. I was going to mention,
I'm never going to have it, but I'll have it on a special occasion, maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, something like that.
Yeah. I wanted to mention, friends, sometimes, hopefully you can get, if you have a family at home or you live with someone else, try to get them on board too. And then maybe this way you're cooking together and you're cooking the new way and it's helping you and it's helping that person. Now, if that person or the family doesn't want to get on board, that's okay. You just stay focused, put your blinders on and say, I'm going to do this. And who knows, they may come on board after they taste your food and they're going to be like, hey, this recipe is really delicious and it's healthy. And you're going to say it sure is. And then they just might get on the bandwagon.
Right. I know it's harder with younger children, but I will say, like, for instance, I do all the grocery shopping and I do all the cooking. And so my husband's come all along on the ride with me and he never complains. As long as it's good, he's never complained about anything. So, and then my son and I, who always grocery shop together, now we hold each other accountable. And he's also changed his eating habits as well. And we both do meal prep on Sunday together. So you're right. It's a really good way to help your family.
Yes. Bring everybody on board.
That's right. The other thing is too, that you're teaching them to then be successful in their later life, so that when if they're your teenagers, for instance, or grandchildren, then when they go on and start cooking things, they'll have learned something. I didn't learn this from my mom. My mom, when there was something good happening, she said, let's bake a cake. When there was something bad happening, she said, let's bake a cake. And so she had no idea of nutrition and she did the best she could, but it wasn't healthy eating by any means at all.
Yeah.
We did already talk about reading food labels, which is really good, and avoiding highly processed food. Focus on really whole foods. Sometimes I'll try really hard just to shop that very side and back of the store, go down no aisles. I buy no box food anymore because I know it's highly processed.
I know. Well, here's what I do. I don't like going to the grocery store, so I avoid going to the grocery store. I go online, I order my food, and then we have what's called curbside. Maybe you have curbside in your area where you just go around the side of the grocery store and then they bring it out to you. So I avoid maybe the cookies on the aisle or, that special item that's on the end cap. That's the new sugary thing. So I don't see any of that. So I'm not tempted to buy any of that. This has worked out so well for me. And it's also saved me some money because I'm not buying that extra $20 candle that I see that smells so pretty and I think I have to have it. I'm not buying it anymore. So that's something that's really working for me.
So let's talk about some of the techniques they really recommended that can help us, because we can put a lot of effort into this, but if we don't change the way we think about food, we could go back to our old habits. So really important here, they said journal your feelings around food. Journal what is triggering you when you think, I need to have a piece of cake. I need to have something sweet. Is it boredom? Is it loneliness? Is it stress? Is it sadness? and journal that, and then start
Is it all of the above? Yes.
Yeah, think about ways that you could do something else instead of eating. But again, this is not a punishment. This is really about improving your life. The last thing I wanted to mention to you is that there was a study done by Dr. Kara Fitzgerald. She did a study with 43 healthy adult men that were aged 50 to 72. And the group is divided into two groups, of course, like the treatment group and the control group. And the treatment group adopted a plant-rich diet, not a plant-based diet. And they combined it with healthy habits like exercise, good sleep, limiting their supplements, and doing meditation to reduce stress. After 8 weeks, the group came back and found with the treatment group had an average biological age reversal of 3.23 years. So they actually regressed in age because they had adopted these healthy habits for these 2 months and had avoided, anything bad, any bad food. Which that's key for me. I'm like, ding, 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 I'm doing that.
Yeah.
The other study that happened was with 38 young men and women that were asked to eat 1, 2, or 3 eggs per day for 4 weeks. And basically, again, they just had increased HDL levels, which is the good cholesterol. They also had better retinal health. I mean, they put them through the ringer on just looking to see what were the effects of eating eggs. And so there's so many good benefits of eating eggs. And I think we'll probably dig deeper one day about the benefits of eating eggs because there's so many research studies about how powerful eating eggs are. But that's all the time we have for this week, everybody. So I wanted to let you know that I'm going to link everything that I researched below in the description notes. And of course, all this content as well. Please tell us if you have ideas on subjects you'd like to hear more about that are kind of health, nutrition, anything that leads to your life being better. And that's our purpose of having this channel, is to make your life better, our life better. We're going to do it together. Please share with us the things that you are doing in the notes and in the comments below. And we'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and like our video as well. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, everybody. This is Elva. I wanted to come on really quickly and just remind you that if you didn't see last week's video on healthy aging essentials, we're going to link it here so you can watch it next. Thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our videos. Thank you.